Hey, welcome back to the Glycogen Cycling channel. I believe we are live now. So we have first off, I just want to say thank you for watching my previous video. It had great support, ton of views, ton of likes, ton of comments. So obviously you guys want this content. So I'm back again. I don't have time to make a full video today, full breakdown, but I do have some new information, new evidence on this crash from a new angle. I have the power of the internet. One of my viewers sent me screenshots, Jeremy Dees. So shout out to Jeremy. Actually I had two people, and Joe Dillier also sent me a video, but the quality was really bad and you couldn't really tell. But Jeremy sent some screenshots that they tell a lot. So we're going to take a look and analyze these and dive in here, and we'll see what you guys think. So during this whole stream, let me know what you are thinking, what your opinion is on what happened here, because there's still some question of what actually happened. And actually, I am, let's see here. I'm actually one shot ahead on that. Okay, so what you're looking at here is you have two different slideshows that we're going to go over. On the left-hand side is the full picture, and then on the top right corner is the cropped image to get a slightly better view of what's actually happening here. So this is the first picture I was sent, and right off the bat, actually, I'm two behind here. All right, here's the first picture. And right off the bat, you can kind of see a couple things. So first off, we have the two Elevate riders. They are riding first and second. That's Eric Young and Sam Bassetti. And then behind those two guys, we have the Avolo rider, and we also have Corey Williams from Legion. And behind them, we have one of the Wildlife Pro Cycling riders. And then the last one through this line in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh wheel is Travis McCabe. So the first thing I'm looking at is just kind of that back part of that group, like 5th, 6th, and 7th, where Travis McCabe is. And you can see that Wildlife Pro Cycling rider, his rear wheel is literally off the ground. So he like locked up his rear wheel or took the corner too weird, hit a bump, and basically shot his rear wheel up in the air. And if you look at it, Travis McCabe kind of looks like he's doing the same thing. So I don't know if he saw that Wildlife Pro Cycling rider and was like, okay, he's going down, and kind of locked up his rear wheel, or if they both hit the same bump through that turn. Because that is very odd that they both their rear wheels are slightly elevated in the air. Kind of strange to me. The next thing you'll notice is they are starting, at least the two Elevate riders are starting to exit the corner, and they are not necessarily cornering anymore. They're kind of like setting up their line of how they are going to set up this, their line through this road. So they still have a good 3 feet to the curb. They have enough room where they could have gone a little bit wider, but they chose not to. So that is something to point out. So let's skip forward here to the next picture. And, they're going so fast at this point that it's really hard to get a solid idea of what happened. Like, they went a good 2 bike lengths between pictures here. And what you'll notice now is the Elevate riders are closer to the curb, so they kind of close that inside gap down a little bit. And we also have the Evolo rider kind of off balance, leaning towards Corey Williams. And Corey Williams kind of has a chicken wing elbow hanging out a little bit. And this is not necessarily a dirty move. And also, before I get into all this, I just want to preface and say none of this is putting blame on anybody. This is bike racing. Things happen. Crashes happen, accidents happen. It's nobody's fault. So whoever you decide whose fault it is, it's an accident. It's nobody did this on purpose. Nobody wants to hit the ground, and nobody wants anyone else to hit the ground. So we have the Evolo rider kind of leaning his shoulder in because he's getting close to the curb. We have Corey Williams, in my opinion, not wanting to give up his third position, not wanting to give up that wheel that he's on of Sam Bassetti, because he realizes those are the guys to follow. And he knows Eric Young is leading this out. So we at least have one guy who's not going to sit up in the sprint because we're going to have a lead out. So that is a good wheel to follow. And he doesn't want to give up that position. In the back, we have the Wildlife Pro Cycling rider back on two wheels. And we also have Travis McCabe kind of on the outside of him. And there's a good bit of space in this corner between the two. The Wildlife Pro Cycling rider has a good 6 to 7 feet to the curb. Travis McCabe has a good 4 to 5 feet. So there's plenty of room to move on the outside. But again, remember, they are going 30 plus miles per hour through here. So even though it looks like a lot of room in a still picture, their momentum's moving towards the outside of the turn. So let's skip forward to the next picture. So here's where things kind of start to change a little bit. You'll notice where Corey Williams is, there is a change of surface, which was pointed out to me by my buddy Eric. So this surface changes. There's a little pavement that is different than the rest. And this whole road overall is not great pavement surface. There's a lot of patches, a lot of manhole covers, and it's something to be aware of that could have had an impact on this. But at this point, from between the last picture, so let's back up on the zoomed in version, to here, there's a big difference of Corey Williams' position. So from here to here, he probably moved about 2 feet closer to the curb. And we also still have the Evolo rider inside that position right there. So within probably inches from this curb, I wouldn't be surprised if he was pedaling down, if his pedal could hit the curb at this point. So at this point, he's probably coasting just to try to stay upright, waiting for that little opening to try to make sure he can get his pedal going and try to move back towards the center of the road. So to me, it looks like, based on where the Elevate riders are, if you look towards the left of them, there is enough space there for a rider potentially. But if you look where Corey Williams is at, there's not really any room, and he's kind of like on the outside of where Elevate is and really squeezing the Evolo rider. Now, this could have been for a number of reasons. First, he didn't know that rider was there, which at this point I find it hard to believe. 2, he's really trying to protect his position. Or 3, he just overcooked this turn and was trying to use all the road and the road was just not there. So let's skip forward one more. So at this point is when the crash happened. We have Elevate still in the lead Eric Young with his head down, going full gas. Remember, at this point, Elevate has been going at the front for at least half a lap. They were at the front all the way from that downhill going into that right-hander and then through this left-hander. So he's been pulling for at least half a lap at full gas speed. So that's going to come into play in just a second here when we talk about how this 18-year-old ended up winning this race. So at this point, we have Corey Williams on the ground. We have Avolo kind of like skidding out. And I was told from one of the comments on my video that his tubular actually rolled off his rim, which is why he couldn't continue. But you can see between where he is and where Elevate is, there's probably space. There's enough space for two riders at least. But, you know, based on where the Avolo rider is, there's not really any room there between where Corey Williams was. And we have shout out to Chase and Dale for sending in a comment. Thanks for taking the time and bringing us this footage, Glycogen. No problem. Thanks for coming to hang out for a little bit. Like I said, I don't have a ton of time to make a video today, so this is going to be a shorter stream, but just wanted to go over these images that one of my viewers sent me. So we have Corey Williams on the ground at this point, and basically everything is just chaos from here. Multiple riders going down. We have Elevate having a huge advantage at this point. And that's another thing I want to talk about is I do not know how they did not go 1-2 because remind me again the rider's name who won if you can in the comments. But he absolutely crushed it, and you can see him in this image just behind Corey Williams in that yellow. And Mr. Watson says that the Ave crit. It is not the Ave crit, but we have new evidence to show you. So we have the rider who won right behind Corey Williams, making a last-ditch effort to try to move around Corey and make it back up to these Elevate riders, because at this point he knows these guys are on the ground. The other thing I want to note is we have, if you look further back in this field, there are multiple sets of double riders here. So the first set is the guy in the white helmet, the guy in the blue, and they're kind of close together, but they're making it through this turn and they didn't crash. And then also, if kind of cutting off is the set behind them, there's another set of two riders. You can see that front wheel. So this corner is possible to take too wide. And that's just one thing I want to point out here. So let's skip forward one more image. So at this point, we have Corey on the ground. We have the Avolo rider skidding out. And as I mentioned just a minute ago, for those of you who are just joining, I was told his tubular or his tubeless, one of the two, came off his rim, so he was not able to continue riding. And at this point, we have Travis McCabe kind of in a tough position here. From the video, it kind of looked like he could have made it around, but you know, at these speeds, it's very hard to react that quickly. The rider who won the race, and I'm going to look this up quick because I'm killing myself that I don't remember his name. Let's see. Give me a second here, guys. (2021) Pro Kart TM Elite. Luke Lamperti, that's who it is. So he's that guy in like the kind of yellow black jersey with the white helmet, looks like, and Travis McCabe's right behind him. So, and then we have Elevate, of course, right now with over a bike length lead, 2 bike lengths. on Luke Lamperti. And then if we skip forward, now you can see the Avolo rider is right behind, or right in front of Corey Williams, who's on the ground. And then we have him trying to get set up again, but he doesn't know that he has a mechanical at this point. And then we have Luke Lamperti skirting around Corey Williams' head. We have Travis McCabe trying to do the same line, but also I don't think he wasn't able to quite make it. So he ended up trying to bunny hop Corey. And we have, again, the Elevate riders on a massive gap, especially at these speeds. It's incredible how they kind of blew their chances here. And let's skip forward once more. So again, we're going to see if we can readjust this a little bit. All right. So at this point, I don't think I cropped anymore because there's so much going on that's unnecessary. Shout out to Eloine. She says, or he says, is this a video? No, screenshots. One of my viewers sent me a screenshot for those of you who are just joining. So at this point, Corey Williams on the ground. Travis McCabe is trying to bunny hop over him, but kind of hits his front wheel and then kind of loses balance and is kind of like going forward. So he goes over the bars, and you can see that mid shot of him going over the bars. We have the Avolo rider trying to get back up on his balance, but again, he still has a mechanical at this point, so he ends up stopping. And then we have Luke Lamperti right behind the Elevate train, and they have a massive gap. And the fact that they have a lead out and their sprinter, who should be generally fairly fresh, I don't know how this kid closed this gap. This is insane. I mean, how many bike lengths is this? 5? To close that solo versus a team with a lead out train, that's just crazy. So we'll skip forward one more. We have a shot of Luke powering up, trying to catch these guys. And then we have, again, Travis McCabe on the ground here. We have a couple other riders trying to get around this traffic and get up to the front here. Because remember, this is still top 10 in contention at a national championship. That is a solid result. So all these guys want to get around this crash as fast as possible. So you'll see here we have, again, Travis McCabe on the ground. We have, it looks like Wildlife Pro Cycling trying to make it around that crash. And then we have what looks like a I know it's not Harley Davidson anymore, but it's that same team. The Devils squad, Trek something, development squad. Looks like he crashed on Travis McCabe's bike. And again, we just have Luke just going out of his face hard to try to catch that break of Eric Young and Sam Bassetti of Elevate. And again, we just have additional images here of riders crashing, trying to get through. I believe this, sorry, I have a lot of notifications coming through. Do not disturb. So we have, I forget what that team in blue is. I always forget their name. But then we have this Evolo rider doing like a pogo stick on his left leg. I don't know what he's doing there. He's trying to like clip back in, but he's got his front wheel up in the air. But again, he has a mechanical issue. And then this guy, you can see his face is just like, I'm thinking because Luke just closed that massive gap right before that turn and just got a free lead out from Elevate. And the rest of these guys are pretty much out of contention of podium at this point. But anyone who can make it through this is pretty much getting a top 10. So that is what you're trying to do, is just keep as much speed as possible through this carnage and try to make it through to the finish. And that is the last picture I have. We have another crash happening on the back of Travis and McCabe. Remember, these guys are still all moving like 30 miles an hour through here. So they're going quick. It's hard to change your line, especially when half the road's taken up with bikes and people on the ground. But that is that. So let me know what you think. We're going to hop back here to the beginning. And for those of you who are just joining us, kind of look at these pictures again and let me know in the comments what you think. And we can analyze this a little bit further if you guys want. So we will skip through these images. And again, if you're just joining, we have the left-hand side is the full view, full image, and then the right hand is the cropped. So again, through the turn at this point. And then here's where things kind of change for the worse. So they definitely went through that turn tight. We have multiple riders in the back going too wide to this turn that were able to do it successfully. So it is possible. And that's what we have. And then we have the crash happen. So overall, I think what I'm most impressed with is the fact that Lamperti was able to close that gap to Elevate. That is insane. Shout out to No. He says the other team is Project Echelon. Yep, that's it. Always forget, but I've raced against them multiple times. I've even done the race they put on in Wisconsin once a couple years ago. Actually, I have a friend on there too that I used to work with. So Project Echelon. But yeah, that's the new footage or new pictures I have for you guys. It would have been interesting to add this into that video yesterday, but again, this wasn't available then. And again, shout out to everyone who watched that, commented, subscribed. Awesome. I mean, like the video. The video is doing great, so I really appreciate everyone who's... I think that was the fastest I've had a video that reached 2,000 views, so that's pretty cool for a small channel. So thanks for everyone who watched and is in general supportive and sent me. Again, shout out to Jeremy for sending these pictures that allowed us to have this live stream. That was really cool and definitely added a different perspective that we didn't have as of yesterday. So if anyone has any further comments, we can discuss. I'll go through the comments really quick and then we can call it a day. So No says, so how long until Williams admits he crashed himself out? Yeah, I don't know. The other thing I want to mention is some people were asking if he has his own camera, because normally he has a helmet cam like I wear on my helmet, but in this race it doesn't look like he has it. And what I was thinking is, I believe the USA championship is against UCI rules, and I don't believe UCI rules allow you to have a camera on your helmet. So, not sure why he didn't add one to his bike, but it doesn't look like he has any footage of this, which is unfortunate because that would have been an interesting shot of the race and what happened. Shout out to Burger. He says, could we get a quick 30-second TLDR? Yep, so let's see if I can do this in 30 seconds. Actually, we'll even set a timer so I don't go over. Let's see. $30 seconds. All right. We have multiple riders going through this corner too wide, so it's definitely possible. If we skip back to this frame, you could see there's the Wildlife Pro Cycling rider. His rear wheel is kind of in the air, so maybe there was something with this turn that was an issue that happened, because we also had Travis McCabe have the same issue. If we back up to the first image here, wow, bad. I did not get 30 seconds in. Well, I'll give you another 30 seconds. So we'll just skip on the right-hand side, which is the zoomed-in shot. We have the Evola rider and Corey going hard against the corner. Looks like he had an elbow out, and then at this point, he's even closer to the curb. So really trying to hold his line and his wheel, the third wheel position against that Elevate team. And then, unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. He went on the ground. We have Luke Lamperti trying to skirt around him to try to make it up to that Elevate squad. And if we skip forward a couple here, you can see he made it around, but there's a huge gap that he has to close down. He somehow closes this and ends up winning the race. So, crazy by Luke. So, that's your minute, roughly, TLDR. And if we have any other comments, I'll answer them quick. Otherwise, we'll call it a day here. Nono says he only posts when he wins. Berger said, that is correct about cameras. Cameron Jeffers got in trouble a couple years ago. Yep, so... And we did have people with cameras on their bike, so it's definitely allowed, but probably just not on your helmet. So he could have added one on his bike. I don't know if he did. Definitely didn't have one on his helmet. Berger says if he did have a camera, then he would be forced to release it if anything happened. I think he chose not to have one, so he would not be forced into releasing footage. I don't think he went into this race thinking that he was going to crash out on the last lap. So I don't know if that's the reason he didn't have footage. He honestly, one thing, having a camera on your helmet, especially that GoPro 8, 9, the bigger one, it is heavy and it kind of bounces your helmet around a little bit. It's not super comfortable, especially on that, what's the Specialized Evade helmet. I have that same one with a camera on the top, and it doesn't fit properly on your head. It's kind of annoying. So for one, he may not have wanted on his camera if this is a super important race to him. Two, it's not allowed. And yeah, so that is, I don't think, he definitely didn't bring the camera just because he thought he would crash. He didn't expect that at all. Nobody did. So there's another reason why he didn't bring the camera. Most likely it's just because of the UCI rules and he just doesn't like the on-bike camera. Nono says, Williams cooks the turn, runs out of room, gets wheel chopped because he overcorrects, then says it's someone else's fault for bad riding. I mean, if we back up to this picture, I find it hard to believe that he doesn't know that a Volo guy is there at this point. And at this point, they're pretty much through the turn where they have enough space. The problem is Corey knows Elevate is going to hold that curb because they want to have the best line around the next corner, and Corey wants to be there. He doesn't want to be fourth wheel out of that last turn because that's a lot of space to make up. 2 bike lengths to Sam Bassetti. And you can kind of see the chicken wing elbow a little bit because he's trying to defend his position. And like I said earlier in the stream, this is no one's fault. Accident happens. It's a bike race. I'm not blaming anyone. We're just trying to speculate on what happened. That's it. So, in my opinion, he comes out of this turn and wants to be third wheel out of that last turn of the race. And a Volo rider wants to be third wheel, and they wanted to be at the same position at the same time. And unfortunately, you can't be at the same place at the same time with 2 bikes. So something's got to give. And that's what happened. Berger is speculating that he thinks he knew that something would happen with all the energy around the race, either crash, trash talking, etc., etc. Better to not have it and not risk any PR or social drama. I don't know. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but could be. So we'll give a couple shout outs before we call it out. If nobody has any other chat to do. Shout out to Dale. Shout out to Chase. Both of you are always on here and commenting, so thank you. Shout out to Mr. Watson. Shout out to Eloine, I butchered that, sorry. Shout out to No. Shout out to Burger. Thanks everyone for joining into this stream. And if I have any other clips that I find or some people send me, we can go over it. Burger says it's just a tinfoil hat theory. Yeah, I'll respect that. Shout out to Jack Wilson. Thanks, dude, and good race today, dude. Crushing it. All right, we'll call it a day. Thanks so much for joining, and we will see you later this week for more content. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll talk to you soon.